Microsoft's Project Volterra, a mini PC for ARM developers. Now, this caught my attention straight away because as soon as I saw the sort of the advertising video that Microsoft put out for it, I thought, oh, it's a Mac Mini. But then, which apparently was a joke going around the internet anyway. A lot of people thought that that's what was going on, sort of the copying what Apple had done with the M1 chip, etc. If this is going to have a neural processing unit in it and all of that jazz. But what I thought was really odd about this, and this is only something that I think Microsoft can do, is they create a platform, which they need to do. They need to get on the ARM train because sort of Apple's sort of taken off on it, and it's a natural extension that if Microsoft adopts it, then there can be more mainstream adoption of ARM chips in standard PCs, which still make up the majority of the PCs out there. They'd have to develop one that can only be used by developers. Nice in theory, but what's the point of a developer purchasing one of these to develop on it when nobody else can buy it or have access to it to then use the apps that these developers are making? That to me seems like a wonderfully Microsoft way of going about it.
Well, I'm sure the Microsoft sales team has sat down, done their research and found there's a market segment for this product, and that's why they're making it. Maybe they haven't explored the use case quite carefully enough, but I'm sure there's a market segment that exists. Whether or not they'll be able to sell into that market segment, we'll have to wait and see. And it'll want to be pretty good, I think, is the other thing that you'd have to say about this. I mean, Snapdragon make great chips for phones, but they do tend to run a little bit hot, which suggests they're not super efficient. So it'll be interesting once again to see what sort of product they come up with.
Hopefully a little more efficient than the Intel chips, even though Intel is trying to catch up, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess the other thing I did want to mention on it is that maybe, to be fair, hopefully, and maybe this is me if I was doing it, if there was a way to really, get everyone excited, would be coming out and saying that they're going to transform their Surface line to be all ARM based and sort of lead the pack that way with their laptops and all of that. If they actually did that, I think then potentially that might actually catch on.
Well, in Microsoft's sort of history, they'll probably try this product first, and then that's probably exactly where they're targeted. It'll be the Surface range eventually, and then, wow, they'll almost have copied Apple.
Just a couple of years later, unfortunately. Still interesting, and despite my barbs at Microsoft, I do still use both platforms regularly. And yes, there are, I can see where the use cases are for both of them. And I personally want, as much as I love the M1 Mac and all the M1, or everything Apple's doing, I do want to see something happening on the Windows side as well, because ultimately there's a whole much vaster user base, larger user base that uses their products, will never use a Mac, and I think they need to get on the bandwagon with this sooner rather than later.
Well, yeah, product development, they've just got to make better products, and I guess everyone in the PC industry has achieved that by different measures over the years. So, but you're absolutely right. We need to see more evolution in general and realize that things are changing. We're really moving to mobile devices. Laptops now are truly mobile, not just something you can take with you. And they need new features, they need new functions, and the next generation of users are using these devices differently. So they need to become more efficient and more user-friendly.